on the Sherry Lord Talk Show podcast. Start your day off with a higher vibrational podcast with weekly guests covering spirituality, healthy foods, and so much more. Go to sherrylord.com for more info. Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm your host, Sherry Lord, and we are so happy that you are joining us this morning, and we have a very special guest. We're going to introduce her in just a few seconds, but what we want you to know is please place your ad with us. Go to www.sherrylord.com. We have paid ads. They're very reasonable. You'd love to place your ad with us. We'd love to boost you and get you out there as well. You have an event or a program that you're teaching, we'd love to help you in any way we can. Any questions, just call me at 941-961-2731, and we'll help you with the application. And we have a very special guest, as I have mentioned. It's MK Mueller. She is a TED Talkx presenter, and she is just wonderful. Welcome, MK. We're so happy to have you on our show. We really are. And what I like to do is just do a little brief about you, but I mean, you will speak more about who you are and what we're going to talk about. Her topic today is the most important question, and we're all excited to know what that is. And before I do that, she's also giving away freebies, so make sure you chat something to get a freebie and then email her. Her email is there, and she'll be more than happy to give you a freebie. She's amazing. For the past 30 years, MK Mueller's books and music compositions have led to her speaking and singing around the world. Both her books, Taking Care of Me, The Habits of Happiness, and Eight to Great, The Powerful Process for Positive Change, have won Best Self-Help National Awards. Today, her 8 to Great process is being taught by over 3,000 certified life coaches around the country. And author Mike Dooley writes in the foreword of 8 to Great, MK's process is so powerful that it will be part of the next wave of enlightenment. She has turned ancient wisdom into modern day tools. So you really want to get a hold of her, and make sure you go to her website, www.8togreat.com. Welcome, MK. We're so happy to have you on our show.
I'm delighted to be here, Sherry, and I was so delighted to get to meet you last weekend. So
yes, it was a pleasure.
Yeah, and love the hat.
Oh, great. Thank you. Our audience wants to know a little bit about you. Can you kind of like give them some highlights about your path, and then we'll talk about the most important question in your topics?
Surely. I'm sure like all of our listeners and viewers, I am a seeker. And so I've been looking for answers for a long time. And when I was 34, I had won awards in singing and acting and teaching. I was a high school speech and debate coach at the time and theater director. And yet I landed in the shelter for domestic violence. And I like to say I landed myself in the shelter for domestic violence because I love what Byron Katie said, that life doesn't happen to us, it happens for us and with us. And I'm just so grateful for all the lessons that brought me, because I realized that pleasing other people was my raison d'etre, right? It was my whole reason for being, and that there was another way. And so it was all kind of tied up in my spirituality of, suffering is good, and every Lent we give up things that we love. And so I really had elevated suffering to this really unhealthy place, I'll just say. And when all of a sudden I started, what I decided to do was study the people who are the happiest, healthiest, and most successful, along with opening myself up to other spiritual teachers. And sure enough, it actually brought me back to my own Christian roots, but it helped me understand whether it's Jesus' teachings or Buddha's teachings or Muhammad, or, all of the teachers were saying the same thing. And it wasn't, you need to suffer. It was, I've come that your joy, that you might have joy and your joy may be complete, right? It was all about joy. And so I said, whoa, 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 whoa. So I shifted my focus into how can I live a life of joy, and
Absolutely.
everything changed. So my energy came back. I was a single mom all of a sudden, and I was a better mom. I was a better friend. I was able to forgive my
Yeah.
ex-husband and move on. But in the process, I knew I needed to start a support group, because one of the things I had learned not to do was to blame other people. And I
Yeah.
wanted to take full responsibility and live in, I feel, not you made me feel, but I feel, or
Yeah.
I'm choosing, or just
Exactly.
empowerment, right? To know that I had the power to change my life, that I was the most powerful person in my life. And so with a support group of just 6 neighbors originally, it grew very quickly. I lived in Omaha, Nebraska at the time. And pretty soon I had like 200, 250 people in church basements or wherever we could meet. We just met in different locations around the area. And then I started getting national and international
Okay.
talks. So yeah, so the, getting to be the keynote for the International Florists in
Yeah.
Hawaii, or the JCs in Barcelona, was just a reminder of the power of this message for everyone. That wasn't about being in a domestic violence relationship. It wasn't about any particular spirituality. It was about, again, finding joy and finding
Yes.
my purpose.
Exactly. I mean, everybody's seeking. We all have our own path and our lessons and what we're learning, and your wisdom of how you overcame that and how you became aware and where you made your changes, I think are amazing. And it's very powerful when you experience it yourself too.
Yeah, it was really exciting to be able to go on a stage and say, I'm
Yeah.
going to teach you how to make every decision for the rest of your life and know it's the right one, guys. And it was just, all these powerful little tools that I had learned along the way. And what I call 8 to Great, which is my latest book,
Right.
it's a compilation of all the great teachers, right? You take the Brene Browns or the Eckhart
Right.
Tolles or the Byron Katie's or Mike Dooley's, or
Right.
all the teachers that we see on Oprah or see on podcasts like yours, right? We're all basically saying the same thing. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to get them into a process, because
Yes.
most self-help books are a list of ingredients,
Yeah.
but actually it was a recovering alcoholic one day that walked up to me after a talk, and he said, "Ma'am, I don't need the ingredients. I need the recipe."
Yeah.
And so I said, "Oh," and then 9/11 happened. All my national and international engagements were canceled. And I realized I had about a year to all of a sudden, figure out, is there a process? Is there an order
Yes.
that these steps go in? And so now we have the 8-step process we call the 8 highways, because there's a low way to get things and a high way to get things. And so the 8 highways of 8 to Great are now taught by, I think we just reached 3,900 certified trainers around the
Ooh,
world. We just
wow.
graduated the latest group. And it's so awesome to watch their lives transform.
Yes.
They then go out and share it with whoever they're sharing with. So it was great.
That's amazing. I mean, we just love, our audience loves hearing the stories of, because they can relate to parts of what you're saying and everything you're saying. And it lets them see that they can make the changes too. They're
Yeah,
not just stuck. There is another way.
yeah.
And I think that's wonderful. You're also, you sing, you have a beautiful voice. By the way, I've heard her and she's like, wow. I'm like, okay, Sherry, just kind of be real low when you sing, because her voice is just amazing. And it really is. And you're also an author. Can you kind of bring up one of your books? Because I know our people, watching, they love to buy books.
So this is the one that's on Amazon. It's hefty, because again, it's all 8 highways. Actually, when I sent it out to publishers as an idea, they said, "Oh, this needs to be 8 different books." And I said, "No. I don't want to do an 8-book series. It's all here, and it's all good for both the right brain and the left brain. Somebody who wants just a process is going to get a step-by-step process. But people who want stories, oh, they're amazing stories of transformation. And then we not only have this 8 steps, but we have it in a student version, because so many high
Oh,
schools are
wow.
realizing that
Yes.
when the students are acting out and they've tried everything else. I just had a recovery center actually for young women send me a letter of a woman they'd been working with for 4 months. Nothing was working. And then all of a sudden they said, wait a minute, have we put her through the Age of Great course yet? And they said, no. And her life transformed. And I got this thank you letter from her saying now she had dreams of college and she was all ready to go. So it was very exciting. So yeah, I'd love to share a couple little tools with our audience.
Absolutely. They love it.
Okay. Alrighty. Well, one of my favorite things to talk about in the what is the most important question in my TED Talk, and if you type in TED Talk MK Mueller, it'll come up. It's, there's a lot of TED Talks out there. The most important question that people say is how important is attitude to, being successful or to being healthy or to being happy. And everybody says, oh, it's 100%, 99%, 95%. I asked 2,500 nurses in a talk I was giving in Dallas. And I said, how important is attitude to the recovery process? 0 to 100%. They averaged 98%. And I love to remind people that's 2% for drugs and surgery. But aren't we grateful for drugs and surgery? But it's mostly here, right?
Yes.
And so what I do in the TED Talk is I talk about the fact that everybody says positive attitude is important to winning on the, basketball court or to finding your perfect mate or whatever, but no one has ever defined it. And if they have defined it, it's a paragraph long that nobody remembers. So I said, I'm ready to give the world a simple, effective definition of positive attitude. So, because so basically it's FGH. Forgive the past, be grateful for the present, and have hope for the future. And then those are 3 of the 8 steps. So how to forgive, the forgiveness process is in here. The gratitude rituals are in here and the hope process is in here. Again, very simple, very, very simple. Just like FGH comes in alphabetical order, right? It's easy to remember. So it's amazing. After I give a talk, people come up to me and say, oh my gosh, people have been telling me my whole life I have a terribly negative attitude, but no one's ever told me how to change it.
Yes.
And so the fact that I say, and who's the hardest person to forgive? Of course, it's ourselves. So we actually have a process. We have processes within the process. So we have processes for forgiveness. We have an actual forgiveness process. It's not a magic fairy dust that's going to be sprinkled on you. It's a process that you work through, and it ends with writing a letter to that person, releasing them. That's the word we use. And then burning the letter. The last thing you'd want to do is mail that, right? But there are, again, processes and success stories, amazing stories. So forgiveness, gratitude, hope is one of our processes. Well, another thing that we talk about is our what we call our power pyramid.
Okay.
And that we wake up every day at 100% powerful. We reboot just like a computer. We just reboot up to our beautiful, vibrant, energized, enthusiastic self. But then we do this thing where we give our power away. And that is, we start to think thoughts like worry, doubt, fear, anxiety, judgment, depression, right? And so what happens is then we can end up, instead of at 100% powerful, we can end up what we call fiving, or only 5%, where only 5% of our thoughts feel good and 95% of them don't. So if we're fiving, I love these phrases. What goes around, what comes around, right? And birds of a feather flock together. And so what's going to happen when we're only choosing 5% of our thoughts feeling good is that we're going to attract people who are fiving events that we don't necessarily want. So how do we get back up here to our natural state of joy, enthusiasm, and gratitude? And that is, I love to ask people when you walked into the room today, did you have something that you could blame and complain about? Can I see those hands? Not that I did, but that I could.
Yeah.
And I say, did anyone have something they could be grateful for? Could I see those hands? And again, all the hands go up. And so I say, so that proves that we all have a choice. Yes. So when that thing happens to you, like that person that almost cut you off on your way to work, you can, if you want to, share that story with 10 other people, right? Or you can feel all the emotion that naturally comes with that. You're going to have some anxiety and some angst and anger probably in that moment, but it's what happens after that initial 60 seconds, right? Do you go now into a thought that feels better, like, I'm so grateful all the rest of the drivers are driving more sanely, or I'm grateful that I'm not driving like that, or I'm grateful they missed me, or I'm grateful that my life isn't in such turmoil. I can send blessings and love to that person who's obviously frustrated right now. So every moment gives us that choice, right, of choosing thoughts that feel good or not. And let me play a little game with you, Sherry. So when we choose thoughts that feel good, we feel good, right? Yeah, that's obvious. And when we feel good, we have more what? When we feel good, I'll write down some of your answers. When we feel good, we have more.
We have more energy. I just feel fantastic.
I love
I
it.
have new ideas and inspirations. For me, I'm feeling good. Everything's just flowing.
Good. So energy, inspiration, one more. When we feel good, we have more.
Well, I'm happier. I'm just, I don't know. I'm just more grateful. I'm just, in a better attitude all around.
Yeah.
I connect better.
So you actually gave me 5. That's great. So more energy, more inspiration, more fun, more happiness, more gratitude.
Okay. Yeah, more gratitude.
So here's a wonderful aha. There are actually 250 correct answers to that question. Wow. And if we took time to write down all 250, everything any of us have ever wanted would be on the list. You want more time? Well, when you feel good, you have more time because you're more productive. Yeah. You want more money? When I spoke to the National Bankers Association here in Florida at Marco Island, I said, when we feel good, we have more. And they yelled out money. And I said, absolutely, because we're going to get hired first. We're going to get the bonus first. We're going to make the sale, whatever it is involved, right? Because we're in that positive place. So actually, everything you've ever wanted would be on the list of when we feel good, we have more. So all of the things we want in life come from 2 words, feeling good. And feeling good comes from 5 words, choose thoughts that feel good. That's it.
Exactly.
It's so simple. So choosing to stay in, and there's lots of challenges, turn on the news. You'll see whether it's weather or politics or whatever, right?
Yes.
And so we really have a choice, because I have to say, okay, what is within my sphere of influence, right? What can I do? And then the best thing I can do, again, for my family, for my community, for my nation, for my world, is to be in that joyful place and spreading this, right? Because we know that, I have some friends right now in the Midwest who are dealing with the flooding, and they are amazing in that they're so grateful for the help. I mean, I just keep hearing gratitudes on their Facebook page and how they're pulling together, which is very, very Midwestern to do, the farmers and all the folks in Iowa and Nebraska, where I'm from. So really, all things can work to good. Do you remember Katrina?
Oh, yeah.
That devastated New Orleans. Well, there was actually something called the Katrina effect. And what they found they were following 5,000 people before Katrina happened, and how happy they were, and how healthy and successful and productive and all those good things. They had higher ratings 3 years after Katrina than before. In other words, Katrina was able to help them step back and go, okay, what's really important in my life? Right?
Change.
And so everything can really be turned into a blessing. We can see it as a gratitude. And it's not that we don't have compassion for people going through hard times, but compassion is different from worry, or a pity. I don't think anybody wants pity. I think, I have a friend right now whose husband is in hospice, and I just keep sending her love and checking in and saying, what can I do? How can I be there for you? But again, death can be another beautiful, safe, holy, grace experience, right?
Definitely.
So yeah, so I don't worry about her all day or him.
Yep.
Again, we just have choices.
Mhm. I think these are really good messages because people have to remember that through the day. They get lost or they forget, and it's good to retrain yourself to that and let it be a way of life for you. In your process, it seems to really shift people. And I think that's a really good for a better life and to be happier, and to really enjoy their life fully instead of focusing on the negative, all the time. It's okay to see it, but I mean, your process is helping people as a way of life, is what it sounds to me and what I could see from that.
Yeah, the choice of gratitude is
Yeah,
really life
have the choice.
transforming. For a
Yeah.
while, I had to wear a wristband. We have wristbands that we give to the high school kids and say,
Yeah.
I am grateful, just so I could remember that I
Reminders.
have
Yes.
a
It's a
choice in any moment.
choice. Yep.
And also in seeing the good. I was working with some high school students last week, and they started after class, they started complaining about a young man who did say some inappropriate things from time to time. And I said, okay, so what did he add to the class? And all of a sudden we had like 5 or 6 things that same young man had added to the class. And again, it's right. There's 2 ends to every stick. And which one are we,
Yeah.
are we focusing on this part of the individual or that part of the individual? And they were able to step back and see their classmate in a new way.
And a
So
different
it's,
perception. Yeah. That
it's
is
fun.
huge.
Well, let me teach you another quick skill here if we've got another minute. Is you okay with that?
Absolutely. We're just enjoying it.
Awesome. So one of the things we teach is, make a dream board. That's a fun thing.
Okay.
Another
Yeah.
thing we teach is risk. And we say a risk is a run to, not from. And that healthy, happy, successful people take 20 times more risks
Yes.
than the average individual, right? They're just risk takers. And so that's that again. If I had no fear. So that's the formula we teach. Every time you have a decision to make, you simply ask yourself, if I had no fear, what would I do? Knowing that fear is spelled false, evidence appearing
Yeah.
real, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So love and fear are at 2 opposite ends. So if you want to move toward love, you need to move away from fear, right? So love and fear, and we move toward love. So that's a fun skill to teach. Again, just very simple. If I had no fear, what would I do? I once had an audience member who raised his hand and said, ma'am, did you say if I had an affair, what would I do? I said, no. If you had no fear, you wouldn't be having an affair. You'd be having a conversation. But okay. But anyway, no, that's not what I said. So, but I love again how open-hearted people tend to be in this day and age, and I know your viewers and listeners are part of that open-hearted audience to say, hey, what can I learn to make my life better? And what we
Exactly.
love to do in 8 to Great is just teach
Exactly.
simple little formulas like, if I had no fear, what would I do? The another wonderful skill that we teach is in a chapter called honest communication. And people write me all the time and they say, this skill saved my marriage. So let me teach our viewers one more skill here, and that is called Laddie. And basically, I took it from the work of Harville Hendrix, but no one else teaches a Laddie skill. I make up acronyms again so that I can remember them,
Yep.
because I say if it's not simple enough to remember,
Oh, yeah.
you can't use it, something you don't remember, right? You have to remember it before you can use it. So it's got to be simple. So anyway, so this little skill happens when people get defensive. So just yesterday at a talk I was giving, I said, does anybody here ever get defensive? All the hands went up. And I said, and does it ever help? And everybody shook their heads no. And I said, no, would you like to learn an alternative? Yes. I said, okay, so here you go. First of all, you're going to get defensive when people say one of 3 things: you always, you never, or you
Yep.
are such a, if they start name calling. Okay. Now, the reason you get defensive is, sorry, I heard, cut my finger. The reason you get defensive is because those aren't true.
Yeah.
You don't always interrupt me. It's not that you're never on time. right? So because they're not true and they say, you're always late. Okay, so I'll use my son. When he was in 7th grade, I'll never forget the day I picked him up a little late and he says, slams the door and says, Mom, you're always late. There's his facts. And I could have come back with the fact of saying, what? I was on time yesterday, the day before, the day before, the day before. And that would have just ended up in a fact fight. But instead, we teach what's called open-hearted listening in Laddie. And I said, so, sweetheart, let me see if I'm hearing you. Let me see if I got that. You're saying I'm always late. Did I get that? So that's the LAD. Let me see if I got that. Acknowledge what they said. And then did I get that? And so I said, so let me see if I got that. You're saying I'm always late. Did I get that? You got to stay open-hearted. Don't let any attitude come through in your voice. And he said, well, not always late, Mom, but you're late too often. And this is when you get to ask this magical question. The I in Laddie, L-A-D-I, is there more? So I said to my son, is there more, Zach? And he said, yeah, Mom, Mr. Schmidt has a new baby and he can't go home to his new baby until the last kid's picked up. And I've been the last kid 3 times this year and I don't want to be the last kid anymore. And all of a sudden he wasn't angry or raging. He was tearing up.
Yeah.
And so was his mom, right? And so, of course, I made an extra special effort never to be late again, picking him up. But that's just, I love how simple that example is. Of LADI, you take that fight that you continue, argument you continue to have with a loved one, and you say, wait a minute. Instead of getting defensive, which never works, what if I said, let me see if I got that. So here's what I'm hearing you say. Did I get that? And then, is there more? And that helps them open their heart to tell you what's really underneath their pain. So I just love that. Thanks for letting me share.
Wonderful technique, because it gets to the core, it gets to the issue. And it's really not you, it's just their expression.
Right. It's not taking it not taking it personally, not get defensive, but how can I help you? Right. Feel all your feelings. And feeling all your feelings is one of the highways in the book too. So
thank you, Beth. Beth is chatting with us. Super skills here. Yes, these are, you can deal with people every day with it and be able to have a technique. This is why I love your 8 to Great. It's living it as a way of life. It's your perception shifts. You can be happy even if somebody is not happy, and how you don't have to engage or align with them, and allow them to be where they are, who they are. I think this is fantastic.
You sweetie. Yeah. They're very practical skills. I think that's, again, something appreciate is, there's the theory of things, but we take the theory and say, okay, what does it look like for how to handle sarcasm? Or what does it look like for how to handle someone else's blaming and complaining? Or, so all of the skills are just, what I did was I looked at what the biggest challenges were for people. And only if it was a challenge for 90% or more of people was I able to come in and add it to the book, because the book, obviously, you have to decide what your book's about. And I just decided I was going to talk about the skills that the top 5% of happy, healthy, and successful people use. So if anybody wants to put a chat, just even if you say, hi, I'm from Alaska, or whatever you want to say, something in the chat, we're giving away a gift today. And that is, you can take the entire online course. Yep. I'm giving away.
How wonderful.
8 different videos that you can watch. You can purchase the book on Amazon and read along with the course if you want to, but you can just take the course without reading the book as well. But I love sharing that with people. So all you'll need to do, again, is put in a little something in the chat. And even if this is a recording, you can still put something in the chat. And then once you've done that, then email me at mk@8togreat. And again, that's the number 8. Email me at 8togreat.com and say, hey, I chatted in Sherry's show, and I will send you the link for one free online course of 8 to Great.
Oh, so that's wonderful. And they're going to love it, because it gives them the skills to work with their I mean, their husband, their children, and anybody in life. And they can use it as a way of life. I think it's a wonderful what you're doing and your process, and it's helping a lot of people throughout the world. And that's important, to give them tools of, I like it because it's an everyday, a way of life. It's something you can use in any moment. If you need to, it's there, and you keep it simple. And I think that's important, was to keep it simple. And again, how can people buy your book? Do they buy it online? Can you bring the book up?
Amazon is fine, but you can also buy it on our website. And we've got all sorts of things on our website. It's 8togreat.com. Again,
Yeah.
we have for businesses that want to bring in a speaker, or who want to send me folks to certify. We have online. In fact, we have a class starting. Let me just promote this here. Monday, August 12th, we're going to start our next training class. And here's the great news. Unlike a lot of life coach certifications, ours is only 5 weeks long, and it's less than $1,000. And everybody goes, what? Yep, you can be a life coach for less than $1,000 and in just 5 weeks. And what it is it's 90-minute calls once a week. And then you have some homework in between, and you'll be on that live call with a small group. I have wonderful master trainers. And so we keep our groups to 10 or fewer, so you get to know each other. You end up with a support system. And the Zoom calls, again, just got to be on one of them as a guest for one of our master trainer courses yesterday and last night. It was just, it's so special to hear people and how their lives are changing and how much fun they're having.
Yeah.
One of the skills we ask is, what's one of your dreams? And so they were asking everybody, what's one of your, so it's really fun. But anyway, so that's, contact me if you're interested in becoming a life coach. And we do have a couple slots left in our Monday, August 12th class, but we offer the classes every month. And so they can go to 8togreat.com, or they can email me at mk@8togreat.com. And again, I'd love to share that course as a celebration of your wonderful podcast, Sherry, and all the lives you're touching. So
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you so much. And thank you for being on our show. We're so blessed to have you. And we're just honored to have you, and how you're helping the world and making an impact in the world. Thank you for your gifts. And we're just going to say thank everybody who's watching us and who's following us. We just want to say thank you so much. And make sure you get a hold of MK Mueller. She is amazing. You're really going to expand and grow with her. Thank you, and thank all of our audiences and all the people who are watching us. See you next week.